to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 16th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And Dan, tonight's edition is the Anson Tigers.
Yeah, and this is a Tigers team in year two under Coach Corey McCombs. Went 2-8 last year, but returns a good group. 14 of their 22 lettermen are back, including 7 starters on both sides of the football. It's one where that is often the case when you have a second-year coach with some experience back. You see some pretty dramatic improvement, and I think that's going to be the big deal this year. Is can we see that with the Anson Tigers, given all of the obstacles they face in a very tough district? But they got some questions to answer, and we'll be addressing a few of those here in just a few minutes.
All right, before we jump into tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, I want to remind you YouTubers to please hit the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button and then hit that little bell, and then you'll get notifications every time that Big Country Preps releases a new podcast. And that's going to make it very handy for you to follow our Countdown to Two-A-Day series, which will run all summer long right up to the outset of preseason workouts. We're going to look at one team a day all the way up to Q&As. So please hit subscribe, hit the bell, and stay up with us and take a look at this year's football teams.
And with that, let's go ahead and just jump into today's team, the Anson Tigers. And I think this is an intriguing group. Obviously, a rough season last year at 2-8, but we have seen throughout the years in the big country and outside where teams can make a big jump between year one and year two in a coach's system. And I think that's an opportunity that this Anson team has. But the question is kind of what kind of progress can they make? I think they've got a good group back, those 14 lettermen. They're more familiar with what Coach McCombs is trying to do. Can they make the jump they need to make to become a more competitive, more complete football team? I think that's going to be a big question they're going to have to answer, and we'll see some of that right off the bat in their non-district schedule.
Two things in their favor. They have experience, and there's no substitute for experience. No substitute, as the late, great George Allen used to say. And they all have speed, which you cannot coach. So these are two great things that Anson has in its back pocket going into this season. They're going to be quicker than most teams, maybe even as quick as anybody in their district. They have a lot of 4-6 guys, 4-7 guys on this roster, and they're experienced. So you'll see fewer mistakes. You'll see a lot of quickness. And can they exploit it? That's my question. Can Anson exploit that speed edge that they're going to have over some teams around here?
Yeah, the third question really dovetails off that question one pretty well. Is that not only do they need to make a lot of progress just to become a better football team. When you look at the district they're in, District 4-2A D1, I mean they're going to have to compete at a very high level just to compete for a playoff spot. This is a league with Holly, with Cisco, with Stanford, with Olney. I mean you've got to compete at a very high level just to get into the postseason. Then my question is are they prepared to do that? Have they made enough progress, given all the factors we just talked about, to compete with those types of teams? And that's kind of the challenge everyone in that district faces, is that there are really no gimme games in that league. If you are a team that's kind of in a progress mode or in a rebuild mode, it can be very difficult to make strides. So that's going to be, I think, an interesting thing to watch this season is can they get back to where Anson's accustomed to being, is competing at that with those teams at that level, for high playoff seeds. So I'm interested to see what kind of progress they can make, particularly in that district.
All right, let's take a quick look at Anson's schedule for 2023. The non-district portion at home twice to open the season. They've got Seymour on August 25th. Then they've got Archer City on September 1st at home. And then they'll be followed by 2 road dates at Dublin and at Haskell. There's some challenges in there. There's some chance for some wins in there, which is important for a young team.
Yeah, and they jump right into district. This is an Anson team that doesn't have their bye week until November 3rd. So they play 10 straight weeks, and they jump into district with, I mean, about as tough a game as you can possibly have, playing the defending state champion Holly Bearcats on the road on September 22nd before coming home to play Colorado City. They go to Winters on October 6th before hosting Olney on the 13th. And then they finish up their district schedule at Stanford on the 20th of October before closing out with another really tough game at home against Cisco. So we talked about it. This is a brutal, brutal district, and there have been no gimmies, but there are a couple of very important games if they want to make the playoffs.
All right, with that, it's about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the Anson Tigers. But before we do that, we want to remind you again that on August 16th, that's the big day here at Big Country Preps when we release our annual preseason football preview. We'll have just a ton of stuff in this, more than any media source in the area, more than 40 player features, more than 40 team previews. We'll have stats. We will have predictions, opinion pieces, videos, you name it, we're going to have it. And our predictions, we believe, are the most accurate for the big country of any media source in Texas. Don't forget to sign up. Join us. We'll see you August 16th.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow when we will be highlighting the Cisco Lobos here at BigCountryPreps.com.